So this video is about the duality of mankind. People need to understand that this is not about gender. This is not about man versus woman. This is not about race either. It's not black, white, Asian, Latino. It's none of these things. The whole essence of life is about good versus evil. All right? So everybody has a soul. And what this means is that your soul, because you're a duality between good and evil, you have the propensity, you have the ability to do good or evil. It's your choice. Why? Because you have free will. This is free will. So you have the ability to become an absolute devil, a tyrant, a monster, or you have the ability to become God, divine, right? Holy, right? So how do you become holy, or how do you become wicked? How do you become a god, right? How do you ascend to godhood, or how do you become a monster, a devil, right? There's things called virtues and vices. Your moral principles will guide you, whatever philosophy, whatever religion, whatever spirituality that you choose, right, will guide you into becoming either a god or a devil, right? So there's this thing called virtues and vices. The more virtues you practice, the more godly you become. You see, this is why I have these things right here, because there's stages to godliness. There are stages to becoming God, right? There are stages to it. So some virtues include, this is not a comprehensive list, by the way. This is not the end all and be all of all virtues. This is some. Some virtues like charity, love, forgiveness, admiration, truth, ambition or zeal, and courage. These are all virtues, right? The more we practice these virtues, the more gradually we'll become God. We become like God. You see, there's stages to it. But we got to practice these things every single day if you want to become like God. Now, if you want to become a devil, a complete tyrant, then by all means practice these vices. You got greed, you got hatred, wrath, envy, falsehood, sloth, and fear. The more you practice these vices, right, is the more gradually you'll change over time. You'll graduate over time to becoming a devil, right? But you ultimately decide. The more virtues you want to practice, your soul will reflect a certain way. If you want to practice the vices and become a devil, your soul will reflect a certain way as well. You see? So you decide based on your free will who you want to become. This is why it's so important to know yourself. Know thyself. You know your strengths. You know your weaknesses. So if you want to become godly, you got to understand your weaknesses, your vices, in order to gradually change. Is it possible for an evil person to become good? Yes, it is definitely possible. This is the process where you convert or transform from evil to good. The more virtues we practice, the more we can change. We gradually can change. But you got to practice these virtues every single day. It's a choice that you make. Regardless of your circumstances, regardless of your finances, regardless of your position and status in life, you got to practice these virtues if you want to become good. Is it possible for a good person to become evil? Absolutely. You can transform. All you got to do is practice these vices, and you can easily transform from here to here. You decide. You decide if you want to become an absolute devil or an absolute God. The choice is yours. Now, I know many people are stating life is not that simple. Life cannot be broken down to good and evil. And you're right to an extent. The reason why you say this is because you're still stuck in the middle. You're still stuck here. You're good, right? You want to become good, right? But you make bad decisions based on your circumstances. You practice these vices based on your circumstances. And this is why life will always be gray for those individuals. They're stuck right here in the middle. But the more virtues you practice, the more strong you are in your morals and principles, you absolutely see life is broken down into right and wrong. Because over here on this side, you absolutely see it. Over here on this side, you absolutely see that life is only about good and evil. But if you're stuck in the middle, you're always going to say life is gray. You're always going to say it's not that easy. Because you're stuck practicing these two things here. You're stuck in the middle. You see, this is why life is so, the lines between good and evil is always blurred for these types of individuals. And they say life is gray. It's not that simple. But the more virtues you practice, you're going to say, absolutely, life is about good and evil. It don't matter what my situations is. I'm going to stay committed to, if I'm going to be committed to being God, life is always broken down to good and evil. If I'm committed to being a devil, life is always going to be about good and evil. The haves versus the have-nots. Those with power and those without power. You get it? So now, these are spirits. Virtues and vices are spirits. Now, spirits are something that you cannot see physically, but they can manifest through your actions. I'm going to say that again. Spirits, you cannot see physically like a tangible body. Like, for instance, I have 2 arms, 2 legs. I got my eyes, ears, mouths, nose, all of that stuff. I have a physical body. You can see me. You can hear my voice. Spirits, on the other hand, you can't see them like physically because they do not have bodies, but they are real in the sense because they manifest inside of people. For instance, the spirit of love, if it manifests inside of me, if I practice the spirit of love, if the spirit of love enters inside of me, it's going to manifest in ways like me taking care of somebody, me feeding the poor, me helping an injured person out. If the spirit of greed enters inside of me, I'm always going to think about self, me. I want all the money in the world. I want all the women in the world. I want all the cars, the houses in the world. I won't care about other people because the spirit of greed has entered inside of me. You see that? If I want the spirit of truth to enter inside of me, I have to practice it. And then I will speak the truth. I will demonstrate the truth at all times. But the spirit of falsehood, if that enters inside of me, I'll be very deceitful. I'll be very deceitful. I'll lie, I will lie, I will cheat, I'll deny. I will not speak any truth inside of me because I have the spirit of falsehood. You see? If the spirit of forgiveness enters inside of me, when somebody does me wrong, I forgive them. I'm not quick to anger. I'm not quick to punish people because the spirit of forgiveness has entered inside of me. But if the spirit of wrath enters inside of me when somebody does me wrong, oh, they're going to feel it. I will break their face in because the spirit of wrath is inside of me. So you got to decide and you got to practice these things. If you want to be a godly individual, you have to suppress these spirits. You have to fight and contend against these spirits if you want to become like God. If you want to become like a devil, you have to suppress these virtues. You have to deny these virtues, fight against these virtues if you want to become a devil. This is why free will is so important. You decide what you want to become. You decide who you want to become. Do you want to be a god or do you want to be a devil? You see? Now, a lot of people, especially in the Abrahamic faiths, the Abrahamic religions, right? They do good. Why? Because their motivating factor is fear. They do good because they are afraid to go to hell. They are afraid to experience the wrath of God. So this is why they do good. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, fear is not a great motivating factor because you're not doing this because you want to do this. You're doing this because you feel compelled and forced to do it because you don't want to suffer in hell and burn for all eternity. If you believe in the Christian, Muslim, and Judaic faiths, right? Now, and it's true. A lot of people, I want to be saved. I want to be saved. I don't want to die. I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to experience the lake of fire. So I'm going to do what God tells me to do. Fear. A lot of it is fear. You do things out of fear. That's not good. Now, this is where I appreciate African spirituality, such as Ubuntu. You know, this is a South African philosophy that states, I am because we are. Right? Now, in Christianity, there's a verse that says, how can you say you love God, but yet you do bad towards your brothers and sisters? You are a hypocrite. You are a liar. Because God, you cannot see God, but you can see your neighbors and you treat them horribly. So that means the love of God is not in you. Right? That's a Christian passage. So now this is why Ubuntu is so important. Because I can see my community. I can see them suffering. I can see them hurt. So now the reason why I choose to do good is because I want to help my community. It's not about fear of burning into the lake of fire. It's not about fear because I don't want to be judged by God. Ubuntu says I do good because if my community does good, I do good. If my brothers and sisters are happy, I'm happy. If my brothers and sisters prosper, I prosper. I am because we are. You see, so the motivating factors to do good, to become like God, becomes community. Something that is tangible, something that I can actually see, something that I can interact with every single day. That's why Ubuntu is very special. You see, so I hope this video helps you. I hope this video enlightens you. And I hope that everybody can see the necessity of practicing these virtues, becoming a righteous individual. Now, let me tell you, This thing is not easy at all because life is going to throw you curveballs. Life is a test. Because we have free will, life becomes a test. If you say right now, I want to become good, I want to become like God, life is going to throw you mad curveballs. They're going to say, oh yeah, you want to become like God? Okay, I'm gonna put you in situations where you have to practice these virtues, but these vices are always gonna appear. They're gonna put you in situations where these vices they're gonna show up. These spirits are gonna show up, but you have to suppress it and practice this, right? If you say you want to become a devil, oh yeah, life is going to throw you curveballs too. They're going to put you in positions where these spirits are going to show up. And you have to suppress it in order to practice these, right? I'm going to give you an example. Let's say I'm walking down the street and somebody steps on my sneakers. They bump me. I have the perfect opportunity to go crazy on him, right? But because I want to become like God, you know what? I might let that slide. This is a battle I do not want to fight at this moment. So I'll practice forgiveness. You know what? He bumped me. He stepped on my sneakers. He didn't even say sorry. You know what? No problem. Life goes on. I can continue to move. Forgiveness. Right? Let's say if I'm placed inside of a school and I'm getting bullied constantly, right? Now, if I want revenge, I can absolutely do that. Like, you know how these mass shooters shoot like plenty of schools? I can do that. I can practice forgiveness for these bullies, right? But let's say if I don't, I'll go crazy, right? And this is what a lot of these mass shooters do, right? This is what a lot of these mass shooters do. They go crazy. They don't take the time to say, you know what? Let me remove myself and practice these virtues. They react based on instinct, their evil vices, and they go crazy. So life presents us opportunities all the time. Life is always going to test us. It's always going to test us because we have free will. So please subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. And more, some more deep conversations and more topics. I'll continue to develop more deep topics. All right? Later.